Good morning and welcome back to the channel. It is Saturday. There is no Celtic games today, but there's a lot of Celtic news, and I want to give you an update on a few other things also. So remember, subscribe to the channel because it is free. There is no financial gain to me if you subscribe to the channel. And I was asked a question: how many people that watch your videos actually are subscribed to the channel? And when I look at it, there's only 40% of yous. Can you imagine how big this channel would be? There's 59%. It's 59.6% have not subscribed to the channel, and 40.4% have subscribed to the channel. Now, where are these viewers coming from, you may ask? And I'm going to give you the stats. There's over 500,000. Before we get into the Celtic news, I must apologise. We're going to get into this first. But it's good to see where the Celtic fans are all around the world. We had over 500,000 views from the United Kingdom in the last 28 days. And then second up was Ireland with 24,000 odd views, and then Australia, then the United States, then Spain, then Canada, then Germany, then the Netherlands, then Italy, then France, then Thailand, then Jersey, then New Zealand, then Turkey, then South Africa, then Greece, then Portugal, then Japan, the Philippines, Sweden, Romania, Austria, Belgium, United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, Poland, Cyprus, Denmark, Norway, Croatia, the Isle of Man, Brazil, Bulgaria, Mexico, Argentina, Singapore, Chechnya, Indonesia, India, Malta, Serbia, Saudi Arabia, Solomon Islands, wow, Ecuador, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. Wow. Wow. That is I don't think the wait a minute. Yeah, the United States. That's all around the world. That is literally all around. That is on every continent of the globe. That is every single continent, apart from Antarctica, and the North Pole and the South Pole. But there is allegedly people that watch us from there. So we are officially the Celtic channel that is all around the world. Celtic fans are all around the world. And you know I say it on the channel because I do look at the stats. And anyway, so to the ones that haven't subscribed, the 59% of yous that haven't subscribed, can you imagine how where we would be if you all subscribed? Subscribe to the channel. It is completely free. And especially when you come from those countries all around the world. That is absolutely fantastic. Anyway, let's get to some Celtic news because that's what you're here for this morning. We've managed to go almost 3 minutes in just talking about. Wow, that is amazing. That is amazing. So, the Celtic news, obviously, the big news this morning is there's 4 Celtic players heading to Germany. Are you going to Germany? Are you going to watch some games in Germany? I think I might be doing a lot of stuff on the other channel that I have. It doesn't have any videos on it yet. There was a live on it, but I took it down. So, yeah, that is in the link to this channel. It's not Celtic content, so there's going to be more of the European games, and I don't really. I mean, you could put them on this channel, but then when people start seeing the Celtic content, they're probably going to unsubscribe anyway. I don't know. I'm not too sure yet. I'm not too sure whether to grow the other channel. It might be something worthwhile doing. It might not be. Tell me what you think in the comments. Anyway, Callum McGregor and the one and only captain of Celtic, he is off to Germany. You all knew he would be going. Greg Taylor is off to Germany also, as well as James Forrest. James Forrest makes the cut and heads off to Germany, and does Tony Ralston. Tony Ralston makes the cut and heads over to Germany also, which is fantastic for him. Lots of good luck. And lots of good luck messages on the Celtic Facebook page. And obviously yesterday it was 40 years. 40 years. Especially, no, it was longer than 40 years. It was way longer than 40 years. Anyway, let's just forget about that. Forget it. Let's just get on with the Celtic news. Anyway, obviously, the news that we cut out with you yesterday is Celtic are interested in spending $8 million for the Bournemouth defender, Chris Mepham. He is on a list of targets for Celtic, and it's come out also that Celtic might be in the market for more players than we think. And it looks like Brendan Rodgers has turned around to the board and said, look, there's some of these players they're just not going to cut it for the Champions League. Hence the reason that there was news came out yesterday that Celtic have been trying to get rid of big Mark Norocki. and send him back to Legia Warsaw, and he said no to that. He wasn't interested in going back to Legia Warsaw. It is that time of year where Brendan's obviously sitting down. The players are away. He sat down with the backroom staff and everyone and thought, how can we improve this team? What do we need to do to improve this team going forward? And especially to the Champions League. Let's face it, if we were to go into the Champions League with this same group of players, we're going to get absolutely annihilated. So it's good to see that Brendan is looking forward, and he wants to hold his head high in the Champions League. You know, he doesn't want to go into the Champions League again at Celtic with one hand tied behind his back. We know the limitations, the limited ability of the players that we have at that level. Has been shown over the past couple of years, and it is far too young a squad. And let's face it, people will say, look, you have other teams that have young squads in the Champions League and they do well, etc., etc., etc. But I think we know that Brendan Rodgers this time round wants to improve what his reputation, especially in Europe, because he feels that he did have unfinished business when it came to Celtic, when it comes to the Champions League. The fact that Celtic are trying to get Big Rocky off the wage bill and get him loaned out to get him game time. Is it to get him game time, or is it to just get him loaned out because Brendan Rodgers doesn't fancy him as a player? Gustav Lagerbielke is also expected. That's two players that we spent £7 million on last summer. What does it say about the recruitment team that we had in place then? Obviously, Brendan Rodgers has got his hands on the recruitment department and he's having 100% say in the matter, but it looks like Celtic are going to try and make a move for the Bournemouth defender. It is someone that he thinks it will make a big difference to Celtic, but I wonder what other players that are going to come in. Obviously we need a goalkeeper. Will we need two goalkeepers? Well, we need two goalkeepers because let's face it, Benji Siegrist is on a fantastic wage, and it's no wonder he's sitting about doing absolutely nada. He's on funny money at Celtic, and is he going to get the same kind of money, or will he just be one of these players that sit out his contract and then move for a free? Which you've got the funny feeling he might do. He must only have about a year left on his contract. Anyway, we're also after a left back because we sent Alexandro Bernabe. Remember him? We did send him back to Brazil. Yes, he went to Brazil, and he's going to be in Brazil until the end of this year, until the end of December. I don't think he'll be back at Celtic, to be perfectly honest. I don't think the manager thinks he's going to be that good a player. So we do need a left back to fight for competition with the one and only Greg Taylor. Hats off to Greg Taylor making the Scotland squad and making the Euros. Let's see what Greg Taylor can do in the Euros this year. It'll be interesting if he has some really good games. Anyway, we're also needing a central defender. Some people are saying give Tomoki Iwata the chance. I just don't think Tomoki Iwata is up there and especially when it comes to European football. Looking forward, and I think Brendan will know that as well. When you look at the fact that we needed Callum McGregor back in that holding midfield role. You can say Tomoki Iwata is just as good, but I don't think he's just as good as Callum. So we do need someone with a little bit more experience in the European terms. I think it's been a good project, as we say, bringing the players in for Asia. But when it came to it, and when it came to the crunch at the top European level, they've just not cut the mustard, really, have they? So I think that's the reason that probably we will be looking for a central defender. And we'll be looking for another midfielder and an attacker. We are trying to get in Adam Ida. We are trying to get in the one and only Paulo Bernardo. So that's two that we know that are definitely working on at the moment. We know that Celtic are working on getting a goalkeeper in, and it just depends on which one they get in. Celtic are currently negotiating with Sparta Prague for their goalkeeper. It'll be interesting to see if we can get that one through the door. Celtic need a strong presence in goals, considering that Joe Hart has now left the building, and it was a fantastic message that Joe put out to the Celtic fans and the Celtic family as a bigger concern. He is a player that will, and I don't want to. He's a fantastic guy. But people have been saying, and you that watch this video, yes, you that's probably looking at this video right now, have been saying for years now, we need a goalkeeper. Joe Hart was good, but he was coming to the end of his career. We need a goalkeeper that's maybe going to be here for 3, 4, 5 years, that is going to take us on a journey, and is going to be part of a squad that is going to take us on a journey, hopefully over the next 4 or 5 years. It is all about, and the board will say, look, it's all about maintaining our dominance in Scottish football. As fans, we are now saying, look, the dominance in Scottish football is starting to get a lot. It's not going to get boring, but we need to improve. We want to do better in Europe. We don't want to just be there for the party. We're not Scotland fans after all. We don't want to just turn up for the party and the bevy. Although on away days we do that. But we want to just hold our head up high in Europe once again. And I think that that's something that Brendan Rodgers is well aware of. Hence the reason I think there may be up to as many as 6 or 7 new players this summer. When you look at the fact that Celtic are moving for Daniel Amrati, as a former, he's known to Brendan Rodgers. So you're looking at goalkeeper, your Daniel Amrati, Paulo Bernardo, Adam Ida. There's 4 straight away. If Benji Siegrist goes, we need to get another one in for him. So there's 5. We could do with a left back also. So there's 6. You're looking at 6, 7, maybe even 8 players coming into Celtic this summer, and they will be brought in as first team regulars. They will be brought in to push as first team regulars. They will not be project players. It will be players that will be first team players that played last season that I think may not get their position. They may have to fight even harder. They may have to do a Greg Taylor. They may have to do a Greg Taylor and turn around to whoever comes into their position and say, hold on a wee minute here. It's not happening. It's just not happening. That's my shirt. I've had it for 2 or 3 years. And especially when it comes to, when you look at it, little Irishman in their defence that played with Cameron Carter-Vickers, I think he's going to have a big fight on his hand next season, because let's face it, the manager's going to bring in a defender that he thinks can cope with the rigours of European football. Can Liam Scales cope with the rigours, and is he good enough for Champions League? This is what we need to start thinking about now. We do need a big squad also. We need to maintain a big squad for the fact that we need to make sure that we don't fall down like we did sometimes in the past few years, is after had the European hangover, they call it. I just don't. I think that having that European hangover, we need a big squad to make sure that we can fight on all fronts, because let's face it, next season, the league is the big one that we want to go for. The league will be the big one that we want to go for next season. I don't care what anyone says. Yes, we have the Champions League riches that we all want, and we want to hold our head high in the Champions League with all those games that we want to play. But let's face it, with both domestic and European competitions to go for next season, Brendan Rodgers knows he will need a big, big squad. And in other Celtic news this morning, there's been a lot of talk about Stuart Armstrong, of all players, and Stuart Armstrong coming back. And I think that's one of the most bizarre things ever. And do you think Stuart Armstrong coming back? I mean, like Chris Sutton believes that, look, people are on about Odsonne Edouards coming back. And look, Adam Ida fits the bill. If we can get Adam Ida, get him in. I don't really think that the whole thing about Odsonne Edouard coming back is just pipe dream. Complete and utter pipe dream. I don't think it will happen. People are on about Tierney. But although Kieran has sort of come out and said that he'll come back, you have to think of it with a level head, and you have to think about the structure that Celtic has had over the years. And I don't think that going for Odsonne Edouard, and I've repeated this before, I don't think that going for Edwards and Tierney fits the business model of Celtic. Yes, Celtic will go out and spend money on a few players this season, but they know it is players that will fit the Celtic model, and it's players that they will be able to sell on in 2 or 3 years. Don't be surprised if there is bids that come in for the likes of Kyogo. That is still getting spoke about. But Stuart Armstrong, really? Fraser Forster? Are the stars aligning to bring them home? Would you accept Fraser Forster after he knocked us back for the whole 10 in a row season? And don't you think that Fraser Forster's maybe just on the wrong side age-wise of his career now? I think that he probably is. And I think that going for a younger goalkeeper in the mould of the likes of the Holy Goalie, who was a lot younger than Fraser Forster is when he is now anyway, I think that should be the road that Celtic go down. Anyway, tell me what you think in the comment section. What do you think about the Celtic players that are getting to go to the one and only Euros? Are you looking forward to the Euros? And who do you think is going to win the Euros? Should we do a Euro prediction thing? I'll maybe even look at that later on. Tell me, or should we just leave this to total Celtic channel and we'll jump over to the other channel and we'll do that on that and see if we can build that channel up. Anyway, on that note, it is Saturday and we are having a foam party and water fight in the town square today, all free of charge. Could you imagine something like that in George Square? It would be absolute fucking mayhem. It would be absolute mayhem. There'd be folk having square goes and everything because they got squirted in the eye by a water gun. It would be nuts. So it's going to be interesting to see how this pans out today. Seemingly it's a quite jovial and friendly affair. But I could just imagine it in Glasgow. There'd be some right grudges out. Somebody would come along with a tatty gun and just ruin it for everybody. Anyway, on that note, what about all before we go, what about all the people all around the world? We'll skip back onto this page and just see all the people all around the world that watch this channel. It is absolute, and it gets me every single time. It gets me every single time. We'll have a quick recap of obviously United Kingdom had over 500,000 views, and then the other 200,000 was made up, and this is in the last 28 days, by the way. This was made up of people from Ireland, Australia, United States, Spain, Canada, Germany, Netherlands, Italy, France, Thailand, Jersey, New Zealand, Turkey, South Africa, Greece, Portugal, Japan, Philippines, Sweden, Romania, Austria, Belgium, United Arab Emirates, Switzerland, Poland, Cyprus, Denmark, Norway, Croatia, Isle of Man, Brazil, Bulgaria, Mexico, Singapore, Argentina, Czechia, Indonesia, India, Malta, Serbia, Saudi Arabia, Solomon Islands. Where on earth is the Solomon Islands? Ecuador, Puerto Rico, and Venezuela. We are completely all around the world. And on that note, thank you to everyone who watches videos. We'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic day to all the Celtic fans all around the world. Lit. Roll up to the party, roll up to the party.